Max Holloway just got knocked out at UFC 308. And I think that we can all accept that this is probably, in terms of title fights, probably it for him. It's almost like an Oliveira situation. At least we could say he was the champ. He was a multiple time defending champion. Holloway's probably a top 10 fighter of all time. But this is it for him. He said that he wants to move up to lightweight, perfect move. And he wants to return in July. Again, another great move by him. He always takes, the perfect amount of time off after a horrible defeat. Really smart team around him. Volk, take notes. But yeah, who should he fight? Who do I want him to fight? So obviously the first option, stay at featherweight, work his way back up to the rematch. Horrible move. And he has no one to fight. There's no other contenders that he hasn't already beat. The only real contenders is the Aljo-Evelev fight. The winner of that is going to be a legit contender in Diego Lopez. And since Ilia is going to fight Volk in the rematch, Aljo or Evelev, whoever wins, is going to fight Diego Lopez, and he's going to be the only contender. So again, no one really for him to fight. The timeline doesn't match up either. So I think we've accepted that's probably the last time we'll ever see Holloway at featherweight, and that's good, He has his legacy at featherweight. He's the second greatest featherweight of all time. But yeah, at lightweight, his new division, they moved him up to 5, which is perfect. Top 5, big fights for him. I would pick him, honestly, to win in almost every single fight, except for like Islam, Arman. And honestly, I think that's it. Maybe Moicano. Outside of that, I probably would pick him in every single fight. But, who do I want him to see? Well, first off, like I said, we're going to keep him away from grapplers. Maybe he's going to try to go for a run at the belt. Let's just have fun fights. Let's just get good fights. Let's get more good names on his already great resume. Let's not rush him for a title fight. Oh, he needs, he could have a fun fight and then he's fighting Arman. Then he's fighting Islam. No. We're not doing that. He's already lost, has a ton of losses in his career. We don't want to hurt his legacy. Keep him away from grapplers. I have Beneil here. I think he would beat Beneil. I think he would beat Gamrot. But still, the point stands. Keep him away from grapplers. And who is he going to fight? I want to see the Poirier trilogy. Poirier said, the funny thing about, good old DP. One thing about Poirier is that before every single fight, he says he's retiring. He's like, I don't know. I wake up in the morning and, this could be the last one. He says that every fight. And I knew he wasn't going to retire after BSD. I knew he wasn't going to retire after Islam. And I knew that he was saying, I want one more fight. And he hasn't even fought that fight. And now he's like, oh, I want 2 more fights. We have to accept it. DP, and for good reason, he's never going to retire. He's never going to retire. Poirier, I'd like to see him fight, maybe not February, probably like March, April. But to be honest, at that point, I feel like he should just wait out till July, June to fight Holloway. I think that's the fight to make. And I think Gaethje, they could do the trilogy at some other point. I think they should do Gaethje versus Hooker and Poirier versus, I guess, Holloway. I think Hooker versus Gaethje could be done a little bit earlier, maybe February, if not March, April. I'd also want to see, though, Hooker, especially if Hooker beats Gaethje, he could fight the winner of Poirier versus Max, which I would pick Max versus Dustin. I don't care that he lost. He's still in his prime. And he arguably won the second fight. I know all the judges, I think, gave it like 4 rounds to 1, which is crazy in my opinion. I thought he arguably could have won, and he took it on like 2 weeks' notice. Dan Hooker versus Holloway is another really good fight that I want to see. I don't know if it's next, though, because Hooker is going to fight definitely before July. Definitely early 2025. So we'd have to see that end of 2025, 2026, around then. Rafael Fiziev, that's another really good one. Fiziev, I said that he should fight Dariush or Gamrot in Tampa in December. If not, he could fight in January. He said that he's been calling for a fight. He's ready to fight since the Paris card. He's wanted to fight since September. He'd have to win that fight impressively and probably win another one. And then, that he would get 2 top 15 wins back to back, maybe even top 10. And then him versus Holloway, that's a good fight. That's another test. He failed the test last time versus Gaethje, but he still looked good. It was a very competitive fight. So I think that would be a really entertaining fight. He's tough. He does slow down. I would pick Holloway again, probably by like a 5th round, 4th round finish, probably like a doctor stoppage. They could put the BMF title on the line for all these fights, 5 rounds, co-main event. Other fights I want to see. I wouldn't mind him versus Chandler. That's been talked about before. If Chandler wins versus Oliveira, he's not going to fight Islam or Arman. He's just not. So have him fight Holloway. He does take time off between his fights. If he wins, and I think Arman's going to win, and then I think that they're going to do Islam versus Arman, the trilogy. In the meantime, the timeline's going to match up. He could fight Holloway in June. And if he beat Oliveira, that's a fight that people are going to be excited for. Plus, if he beats him, it's going to be by finish. So that's a really good fight that they couldn't make. Again, I would pick Holloway confidently. And 5th and lastly, McGregor. Again, 5 because McGregor, I've been saying this since like 2023. He's never going to fight in the UFC again. I know he tweeted that he's retiring. I don't take much from that. He's tweeted that a million times. I just think that he's never going to fight again. But, they could do the rematch. That's always going to be fun. BMF belt. Always going to be, that's always an option. That would be a massive fight. That could be a pay-per-view main event. But yeah, outside of that, I think that those are the best options. Let me know what you think. Let me know who you want him to fight. Let me know if you think that he'd beat Poirier in the trilogy. I would pick him. I don't know what the odds would be. But yeah, that's it for me. Let me know what you think. And yeah.